You have felt it, that specific institutional vertigo. You are sitting in a sterile meeting room or staring at a grid of faces on a screen, watching someone with a fraction of your capability get handed the promotion you were implicitly promised. You review your metrics. Your output is double theirs. Your error rate is virtually zero. You stay online late, they log off early. The math does not make sense to you. The equation seems fundamentally broken. This is because you are using the wrong formula. The lie you were told is this: corporate structures are meritocracies where relentless hard work translates directly into upward mobility. The truth is this: your hard work is precisely what is destroying your career. You are not viewed as a candidate for leadership. You are viewed as a highly optimized utility, and utilities do not get promoted. They get used until the machinery breaks down. To understand why you are trapped, you must immediately stop looking at the individuals around you. Do not blame your manager's incompetence or the promoted colleague's charisma. Look at the architecture. The corporate system operates on a singular, cold imperative: the preservation of survival through stability and predictability. It does not want disruption. It does not want localized excellence. Excellence is inherently volatile. It creates friction. It highlights the inefficiencies of the surrounding structure. The system prefers a perfectly mediocre employee who produces exactly what is expected, day after day, over a brilliant employee who questions the workflow. Predictability is the ultimate corporate currency. Truthfulness is a liability in this architecture. When you point out a flawed process, or when you demonstrate that a timeline is mathematically impossible, you think you are adding value. You believe you are saving the company money. The system does not see it that way. The system sees you as a threat to its equilibrium. You are forcing the machine to expend administrative energy to adapt to reality. The system systematically rewards those who do not cause problems. It promotes the frictionless. It elevates those who absorb inefficiency without complaint. The executive layer does not want to hear that a project is fundamentally failing. They want to hear that the timeline is simply agile and pivoting. When you deliver the brutal analytical truth, you become the problem. The system isolates you to protect its own stability. This brings us to the core mechanism of your stagnation, the competency trap. You operate under the assumption that becoming indispensable makes you highly valuable. In reality, becoming indispensable makes you immovable. Let us look at the cold corporate math. You are exceptionally good at your job. Because you are efficient, management quietly hands you more responsibilities. You absorb the workload of 2, perhaps 3 average employees. You do this without demanding a proportional raise, believing the reward is being accrued in some invisible ledger. Now, a management position opens. You apply. Management looks at the operational board. If they promote you out of your current role, they lose their most efficient, high-yield producer. To maintain the baseline output, they will spend capital to hire, onboard, and train 3 new people just to replace your specific output. The cost of promoting you is catastrophic to their quarterly operational budget. Conversely, if they promote the mediocre employee sitting next to you, the workflow remains intact. The mediocre employee's absence on the production floor is easily backfilled. You have become a load-bearing pillar in the operational structure. You cannot be moved without risking a collapse of the floor above you. Therefore, you are kept exactly where you are. Your competence is heavily penalized. Your reward for flawless execution is a heavier burden at 0 marginal cost to the company. You have engineered your own obsolescence by being too effective to promote. As you remain trapped in this cycle, accumulating years of specific operational experience, you develop a new attribute that the system finds deeply dangerous. You acquire institutional memory. Corporations operate on a required cycle of collective amnesia. Executive teams turn over. External consultants bring in revolutionary new frameworks. The exact same failed strategies are rebranded, repackaged, and sold to the shareholders every 3 to 5 years. You remember the last time they tried this. You remember the software migration that failed spectacularly in 2021. You remember the matrix reorganization that destroyed departmental morale in 2019. When the new vice president presents a disruptive restructuring plan, you immediately see the pattern. Your knowing is a threat. You are the ghost in the machine. You hold the empirical, historical evidence that their new initiative is structurally flawed. The system cannot tolerate this. A company running on forward-looking projections and manufactured hype cannot have seasoned employees pointing out historical realities. Your institutional memory introduces doubt, and doubt slows down the speed of execution. This is precisely why experienced, long-tenured employees are quietly managed out, sidelined, or offered early retirement. The system needs amnesia to function optimally. It needs a workforce that genuinely believes the current corporate initiative is unprecedented and guaranteed to succeed. You ruin the illusion. Your memory is an operational liability, and the system will actively try to erase your influence to protect its narrative. To execute this erasure without triggering legal or optical liabilities, the system deploys human resources. You must understand that HR is not a support system for employees. It is the risk mitigation and compliance arm of the corporation. To understand their maneuvers, you must decipher their language. When HR tells you that you lack cultural fit, they are not talking about your personality or your hobbies. Culture fit is the corporate code for obedience. It means you do not seamlessly accept the required amnesia. It means you resist the frictionless mediocrity. It means you are not easily managed by the current preferred hierarchy. When they post job listings looking for candidates with high energy or a dynamic mindset, they are not looking for passion. High energy is a sterile metric for cheap, naive, and willing to work 60 hours a week without asking for equity or boundaries. They are actively filtering out experience, because experience demands fair compensation and respects the limits of labor. They weaponize soft skills against you. When you become too expensive or too knowledgeable, they will suddenly cite your communication style or your team synergy as areas requiring immediate improvement. These are unquantifiable subjective metrics designed specifically to legally document your failure. They cannot legally fire you for being too competent or for remembering too much historical data, so they will penalize you for not smiling enough while carrying the load of 3 people. They use the language of empathy and wellness to enforce strict algorithmic compliance. Consider the daily mechanics of your workflow. Every time you optimize a process, you hand the surplus value directly to the shareholders. You do not own the means of production. You do not own the optimized time. You are operating under the delusion that the system is a bank where you deposit hard work and eventually withdraw a promotion. The system is not a bank. It is an extractor. Look closely at the executive layer above you. They do not do the work. They manage the perception of the work. They traffic in the distribution of risk. When a project succeeds, they absorb the credit through structural positioning. When a project fails, they distribute the blame downward through the hierarchy. This is not a malfunction of the corporate structure. This is the intended design. They are structurally insulated. You are structurally exposed. By working harder, you are simply increasing your surface area for exposure. You are volunteering to carry the risk for individuals who are paid exponentially more to avoid it. You must abandon the emotional connection to your output. The concept of taking pride in your work is a psychological lever pulled by management to extract unpaid discretionary labor. They want you to feel a sense of personal ownership over a product or a service that you do not legally own. They want you to tie your personal identity to your corporate deliverables. Once your identity is tied to the company, your logic is compromised. You will sacrifice your physical health, your personal time, and your boundaries to protect an entity that views you entirely as a depreciating asset on a spreadsheet. This is the reality of the architecture. There is no moral arc bending towards justice in the corporate world. There is only profit, loss, and the ruthless pursuit of systemic stability. So, what is the protocol? How do you operate within a machine designed to consume you? First, stop giving them your surplus. Throttle your output. Provide exactly what is required to remain in the upper middle quartile of performers and nothing more. Do not become the load-bearing pillar. Be exceptionally competent, but ensure you remain easily replaceable. If you are replaceable, you are promotable. Second, control your own narrative. The system values visibility over capability. Stop working silently at your desk expecting to be discovered. Spend your energy making sure the right people see the work you have already completed. Do not assume the work speaks for itself. The work is mute. You must act as the primary amplifier of your own metrics. Third, build financial leverage. The system controls you through the underlying fear of financial ruin. If you live paycheck to paycheck, you are an operational hostage. Your compliance is mathematically guaranteed. Lower your overhead. Build capital outside the system. Financial leverage is the only actual leverage that exists in this dynamic. When you no longer need the system to survive, the system loses its psychological power over you. Finally, recognize loyalty for what it actually is. Loyalty is an illusion. It is a one-way mechanism designed to trap you in a suboptimal position. The company will terminate your employment the very second the financial algorithm dictates it is necessary. You must adopt the exact same calculation. The system is not your family. It is a temporary transactional agreement. Extract the capital, learn the mechanics, build your leverage, and when the math no longer serves you, leave the structure without hesitation. You are not a victim of the corporate world. You are a participant in a cold economic game. It is time you started playing by the actual rules.